Is your approach appropriate for the people you serve? What's going on, fam? Dr. Sean here, continuing the conversation on how you can win and how we can win together. So recently, my wife and I went out to a restaurant for the first time, and we came across this poo-poo platter we were really interested in, but we had never been to that restaurant before. Many of the items on the menu were a little bit vague in their description, and so we just wanted some feedback from the person who was serving us. Well, she was very non-committal. She wouldn't give her opinion about anything. And then as I pressed her a little bit, asking her, have you been getting any feedback from anybody that has ordered this before? Do they send it back? Do they like it? Do they exclaim one way or another? And she was so worried that we might hold it against her if we got it and we didn't like it. That we got no direction at all from her. It was very not satisfying, and it made me wonder, what approach do I have for the people that I serve? And so this is kind of a two-part question. The first question is, are you in the service industry? Many of us are in the service industry, and we really haven't embraced it. So it makes it very difficult for us to serve and have the correct, let's say the appropriate approach for the people that are under our care. For instance, I went into healthcare, and it didn't dawn on me until much later that I was in, indeed, the service industry. As things have changed, it has become clearer and clearer that the public, the consumers, healthcare consumers, patients are expecting a certain type of approach from us. And if they get it, well, then they have a nice, fulfilling, wonderful experience. And so that's the question. Is the approach that you have appropriate for the people you serve? So I thought I would just go over some of the approaches and see if they resonate with you. The first approach, I think the one that we are most accustomed to, particularly in healthcare, is the educating approach. And it's natural to us. We have been educated. It is how we got where we are. It is how we also teach the people and instruct the people that come behind us. So we extrapolate and we give that to our patients also. The educating approach, we're giving facts and figures and data. And so that is the educating approach. And indeed, earlier in my practice, I was just all focused on the educating approach. It was so natural. And patients would hear the caring approach in my voice and the fact that I took the time to educate them. But a lot of times I would be a little, less fulfilled in my work because I didn't feel that they were really receiving the information that I was giving, because I didn't see them using it much. And so it created kind of a weird dynamic where the experience that I was looking for at work, I wasn't getting it, and they were not leveraging to my perspective the information that I was providing using this purely educational approach. And so that's why I really wanted to adjust my approach down through the years. And I'm talking about 20 years ago when I started really looking into this. So another approach is the directing approach. Now, the directing approach, it comes kind of natural to us also, especially if you've been practicing in healthcare for quite a while. Healthcare is kind of paternalistic, maternalistic, if you will. I'm not suggesting that it needs to be that way, but that is a part of the culture. That has been a part of the culture. The directing approach, sometimes very appropriate. I treat people that have acute strokes. Sometimes they need treatment right now. And sometimes, it seems like the most helpful approach is to let somebody know, here is really what you need if your intention is to do well. And this would be recommended. It doesn't matter what hospital you came in to all across the country. If you spoke to 50 different neurologists that work in hospitals, we would all be in agreement. So the directing approach is we need to do something sooner rather than later. And if we don't, we're going to lose opportunity, we're going to lose choices, and possibly even our life. So there's something appropriate about the directive approach, just as there is the educational approach. And I believe all of these approaches have their place, so I don't mean to stack them one way or another, but it's helpful if we have these labels and That way we can be very intentional as we are communicating with our patients. Now, another style is the following approach. We have started doing more following now, probably than we ever have as a profession, as the healthcare consumers have become more empowered over the past 15 to 20 years. Many people are coming and saying, I'm not doing A, B, C, or D. And so then as providers, many times what we are doing is saying, okay. And in some regards, what we are doing is not being committal about what's on the menu. Many times we are not perhaps providing enough direction, enough counseling, enough suggestions. And this takes us to the guiding approach, and that is one that assumes, let's say, that we are piloting, managing, we are assisting, we are helping, we are providing guidance, we're offering recommendations, we're offering suggestions, and that's very helpful, I believe, in most non-critical, non-emergent circumstances. The guiding approach has been recommended by motivational interviewers and the gentlemen, the professionals, our colleagues who have developed motivational interviewing, the guiding approach. And that is what I find most of the times. The whole idea here is that we want to establish rapport, and ultimately we want to establish a trust. I suggest that the holy grail in all of this is when people ask me, let's say if this was your mom or your dad, your family member, what would you recommend? I get this question when people are really starting to feel that my approach is appropriate and they are leveraging the information, but not just the information, but they feel heard, they feel understood, and that is where we can really start to help people transform their lives from where they are to where they want them. So my recommendation is to consider which approaches seem appropriate for the moment, the circumstance going on, and improve the patient experience to keep winning.